When I go to the movies, it's almost always to see a horror film. These are movies that both my wife and I truly love. They are one of the pure, untouched genres of all time in cinema. I prefer ones that are more, how do you say, suspense laden and more of a thriller. Even I just recently watched, what is it, 13 Cameras and then 14 Cameras. Those were very good, I thought. Low budget, but excellent thrillers slash horror films. There's a lot of movies. It Follows, I thought was really good. Hollywood has put out a lot of good new franchise thrillers or horror films, but they've also put out an absolute pile of garbage ones, including trying to reprise old films and get us to go back. Now, it was a win with It. I thought It was quite good. Definitely an 8 out of 10 in terms of horror films. And, considering it was a reboot, my expectations were exceeded. But there are absolutely a large percentage of the newer renditions of old franchises that are just terrible. I think the Halloween franchise does okay. Most of the latest Jason movies, just terrible. Now, Freddy Krueger, though, is one of the few truly still terrifying characters in horror films. But apparently, it's time to get woke. Before I get into that, absolutely huge sponsor, or shout out to this video sponsor, Displate. This video's sponsor is Displate. They're high quality prints on metal. They come in matte finish like this, gloss finish like some of the ones you see behind me. I've been swapping them in, swapping them out on my set. Hope you're enjoying that. They mount on the wall super easy using magnets, which allow you to move them around or create collages or getting separate small ones to create a large mural. Displate.com is offering just my subscribers for the next few days. You can save up to 32% off. This is the biggest discount they've ever given me. If you order 1 to 3 Displates, you're getting 27% off, which is already the biggest discount I've had. Then if you get more than 4, you get 32% off. They have everything on their website. Star Wars, Marvel, Overwatch, DC, The Witcher, Cyberpunk, sports, art, animals, whatever you could think of, they've got a high quality print for you, and they've been supporting this channel for a long time. So with everybody locked in right now and their walls looking really boring, head on over to Displate using my link in the link description below, and you can save huge while supporting the channel. Deal only goes through the weekend. Get yourself some sweet horror themed or video game themed Displates and support your walls with some sweet art and support the channel. By the way, if you haven't subscribed yet, there's a little red button right down below the video. Hopefully today will be the day you do. Now, a new article coming out via Bounding Into Comics says Robert Englund claims the next Freddy film should toy with a kid's sexuality and have a focus on the opioid crisis. What? What? No! No, 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 no. 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 Freddy Krueger actor Robert Englund recently revealed, it's like these people get a list of talking points every morning and that's what they talk about, you know? Freddy Krueger actor Robert Englund recently revealed a number of ideas where the Freddy franchise could go, with one of them being a remake of a Nightmare on Elm Street 2 where Freddy toys with a boy's sexuality. Englund, who last played Freddy on the big screen in 2003's Freddy vs. Jason, which was awful, by the way, spoke with 2Fab about the Freddy franchise and revealed some of his ideas for the franchise. In their discussion about Freddy, 2Fab asked what the disconnect between modern audiences and old school 1980s horror film was. Nothing. Nothing. If you like horror films, then you should be watching exclusively horror films made in the 80s. That was a golden era for horror and suspense. Pinhead, Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees. These characters were born in that era. And there's still nothing scarier. Like, legitimately, there's nothing scarier than that stuff. For England, it has to do with culture, he answered. Well, I think they're so part of the culture now that they have to they've been diluted a little bit, he elaborated. That's reasonable. And also, I think that remakes were rushed. Also agree. I know the remake of A Nightmare on Elm Street was premature. He continued, we should have done another Freddy vs. Jason film. No. And then waited. They should have waited 5 or 10 years, and I think the same thing with Child's Play. Also agree. Child's Play was a disaster remake. I think they're so a part of culture that they're being rerun so much, and they're available on DVD. The horror master will go on to point out that he felt was part of the secret sauce of Nightmare's success was when it was first introduced, that they also have to recognize what the secret of Nightmare on Elm Street is, the loss of innocence. And the kids need to be like Midwestern kids. They can't be hip, chic, junkie kids. He elaborated. They have to be middle American kids that think they're a little hip, that they are co-opted by evil, and they lose their innocence on all levels. But then, details of the new Freddy film would have to focus on today's society. Nope. I don't want to see Freddy Krueger invading TikTok. Nobody wants to see that. This is such a disconnected... You want to talk about disconnect, okay? This is the ultimate disconnect. You want to talk about Hollywood not understanding what people want from horror? Just look at the innumerable flops that came out in the last 10 years. The innumerable remakes that were just awful. Hollywood doesn't know how to make... United States Hollywood, I should say, doesn't know how to make good horror films anymore. All they can do is go back to the well. And don't give me that Jordan Peele's films were good. They were grossly overrated. Get Out, okay, above average film. His sophomore film, terrible. And I'm sure he's going to completely botch Candyman as well. He explained, because our society is now more damaged because of the opioid crisis, because of the incredible diverse... those kids now have to be different than the kids from the original Nightmare, and someone has to write a different batch of kids, and Freddy needs to be different kind of evil. He added, evil needs to toy with what they like in the culture. So, like, Freddy Krueger will now come in the form of cancel culture? Is that what it is? Like, hey, kids, looks like you sent out a spicy tweet while you were asleep. And then just dance off into the closet and watch a little kid freak out because they've been canceled on Twitter? Is that what the new Freddy Krueger needs to be? If they redid Nightmare 2, for instance, the real deal with the subtext, Freddy toying with that boy's sexuality. What? But the fact that we're so much more comfortable with that now, I think that it would be really fun to have Freddy's play with one kid who's gay, and maybe one who's not. Play with them, tempt them, force them out of the closet, and then back into the closet. We can do that, he elaborated. Nobody wants to see that movie. Nobody. Robert Englund, I respect what you've done, but this is a garbage take. Englund claims audiences would be accepting of this idea, but in order to really pull it off, you would need someone clever, he started. Audiences would accept that now. Freddy would have to do it because he's in your head, because it's going to take somebody very clever to do that. The next idea, he said, would look at the drug elements of Nightmare on Elm Street 3. He detailed again, you look at Nightmare 3, a fan favorite. By the way, yeah, it is probably the best one. Dream Warriors. You want to take that to the place where they meet some kind of kids who are in rehab. You have to push those things a little further. Whatever their problems are, really have fun with one of the kids being OCD and Freddy having to exploit that. I think one would be because it's 2020 now, he elaborated. He then detailed that the film could include an autistic actor. Get an autistic actor and really play with how Freddy would torment him. No, this sounds terrible. Rob, this sounds awful. Awful. And by the way, you think people would accept that nowadays? You're wrong. You're wrong. It's clear that in England's view, if the franchise is to move forward with or without him, it has to keep up with what he believes will connect with modern audiences. No. Fear. Terror. These are things that are in the id of our brain. They are the most primal emotions someone can have. And it has nothing to do with TikTok. It's just... Yes, you can modernize it, but could you imagine Freddy Krueger putting out like, getting on someone's like Twitter feed and making a spicy joke? What? Nobody wants to see that. Now, the Craven Estate is currently accepting pitches, though there is no word if they will move forward on a new project with this IP. I want to hear from you. What do you think of Robert Englund said? Well, he's an idiot. No, I'm not going to say that. Robert Englund has earned his place at the table, obviously, to talk about this, especially this franchise, but this is just a very, very bad take. I'm looking forward to seeing your comments in the comment section down below. We'll talk to you again real soon.